Jason here with TechwareLabs, continuing coverage of CES 2015. We are here at probably what is one of the most exciting layouts that I've seen so far at CES. Obviously the Thermaltake booth. I've got Shannon Robb from Thermaltake. Some really cool products. I mean, as you can see behind me, full-on enthusiast water cooling loops available now. Some really cool cases. Shannon, tell me a bit more.
Well, to start off, one of the highlight products we have here is our Core X series. You saw the Core V71 last year. You saw how it progressed to the V31, V41, V51, even the little V21, V1 case. Those were all the starting, like I told you guys. Those were the starting of the modularity. Those were what we were trying to move toward. And with some of our design input and co-op with our team, we were able to really make it something that now you can take from just removing some hard drives and making it different. Now you can rip everything out and have a bare chassis that you can build up from, where literally the limit is your imagination.
We took a look recently on the website at the Core X1. This is the big brother of the X9. Full ATX, extended ATX support. You can see it's stackable. As Shannon was saying, there's obviously modular design built in. Pretty much everything is removable, customizable. It's an absolutely awesome case, and this extends on down through the entire lineup. Check out our website for the X1 review. Shannon, please continue.
Okay, when it comes down to that, the modularity part, it really does come down to you can select which components go in there, and what's really cool about it is we didn't just design it around that, we also designed it around what happens if someone rips everything completely out. Half the time, if you've ever taken a case apart, Jason, you see that it becomes flimsy, it becomes really hard to work with, it becomes really unstable. This thing is just as stable, as you probably saw at the X1, just as stable when it first opens out of the box to when you rip it completely apart. It stays just as rigid. It's a super solid chassis. Things like the X9, behind the CPU tray cutout in the motherboard tray, you actually have a drive bay itself there that will do dual SSDs and a single large mechanical drive. So even if you rip all your drive bays out, you can still have rated SSDs and huge storage for an awesome gaming system with none of the drive bays, taking up any space. Beyond that, once again, the limit is your imagination on these things. You can lift up the top panel, pull the trays out, build your radiators onto it, then drop it in, so you don't have to worry about going up and under like I'm sure you've done before, where
Yes.
You have to hold it up, put fans between it, hope everything lines up. All of these were design considerations that were put into place as we're building these chassis and we're learning what will be a nuisance to build with. We want it to be the most perfect chassis to build in as possible.
And that's something we explained to our readers in the review. As you guys are well aware, anybody who's built a machine knows, especially in a small form factor or trying to get your hands in there and work on it, this is probably the most easy to work on case that I've ever personally had come across our desk at TechwareLabs. One of the things that I find interesting, and a bonus for you guys out there tuning in, Shannon here has been obviously an enthusiast and a system builder for many years, going back into his teenager years. Shannon's actually, for you guys, the designer of this.
I work with a really talented design team. I provided a lot of design input on this. I work directly with our headquarters team, our engineers, and we were going back and forth with design input from everything from the base smallest components to the smallest details to make sure that the finished product became something that wasn't just an improvement over the last one, but a complete reinvention in the way you build within a chassis.
It's clear, at least to me, that obviously you guys are listening to your buyers out there, your consumers, and paying attention to their needs. And I think that's really cool for a company to do, especially when you actually see the results and a product comes out that clearly meets the needs of the people that are going to buy it. I just think that's a thing that most companies don't do. They'll build for profit, but not necessarily for their consumers.
Well, we don't just have reviews out there. We actually read them. We also go onto community forums. Like I'm a member of a lot of enthusiast forums myself, and our whole team, including our own CEO, goes out there and reads things, whether it's Facebook posts back to us, replies to when people see our new products. We take all that feedback into consideration because people aren't just going to say it for no reason. They say something because they mean it. That means something to them. So we want to make sure that feeling they have, we address it however we can, because when it comes down to it, if you tell me I don't like this feature because this reason, and it's a tangible reason, it's something realistic, then I want to take that in consideration, because that means obviously you're not the only one in the world that's going to feel that way. So if it's something that's realistic, we can change without, you know, it becoming a case for just 2 people and everyone else is alienated, then it's definitely something we're going to look at.
Stay with us after the break. We're going to take a look at these really awesome water cooling units that Thermaltake has now come out with. It pretty much addresses the complete need of an enthusiast. I'm sure you guys are interested. Stay tuned with us at TechwareLabs. We're going to come back after the break and take a close-up look at these water cooling systems. We're back after the break. We're going to take a look, as I promised, at a close-up of some of this absolutely awesome water cooling equipment. Shannon?
Okay, first of all, obviously you can fit, as you see, the blue liquid cooling loop. That it's more than enough to actually feed your CPU and GPU, no problem. You had to keep it nice and cool. But you know, for those who really want the huge difference, just a massive, really overkill for the most part, liquid cooling loop, the red loop right here is actually feeding the graphics cards, whereas the blue loop's feeding CPU only. So you can actually make, like I said, you could rip everything apart. This could be your water box feeding this bad boy down at the bottom, or you build a single regular use system and can be perfectly fine. Once again, the option's up to you. Now, I think what's really cool as well is beyond just discussing, oh, hey, we have awesome liquid cool capable chassis, it was about time for us to actually have the liquid cooling to show it's liquid cooling capable. And so if we go take a look at the other room here, we actually have a whole room almost dedicated to this stuff. So let's go check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay with us after the break. We're going to take a close-up look at breakdown of the components. As we talked about, we're going to take a quick look at some of the components that make up these new water cooling systems available by Thermaltake. As you can see, just a large array of reservoirs, radiators, fans, pumps. All of this is custom-built stuff. You're not talking about your all-in-ones anymore. You've graduated to a whole new level when you start looking at this stuff. Shannon, tell me a bit about it.
Well, you know, as we showed you some at Computex, remember we gave you kind of a sneak peek at some things. I remember some very interesting pictures of Jason with this guy. We took the fans off. We really couldn't use those fans anymore after Jason was done with this thing. It was a little scary. So we had to recycle those. We had to put them to a different task at this point. But we basically have everything from 120 based to 140 based, all the way even up to 180 based. So obviously you got the 540 3x180. You got the 2x180, which, if you notice, is a 360, just like the 3x120. And the Core X1, with the Core X1 we had out there, the top of it actually has one of these in it. That tells you how much room you actually have in that chassis, that you can fit something like this in it.
The thing that I found interesting that we were talking about earlier is that you have designed, or the design consideration has been taken place, that the fins on this, as you guys are pretty much aware, anybody who's done water cooling, if you accidentally use too large a screw, you will pierce the cooling fins and your radiator will leak. Not with one of these.
No, the tubings themselves, there's actually special spacing put in play here, so you can see the standard width fin spacement, and then you have a special one that's really skinny here, and that makes sure that no matter what, all of your screw holes are actually hitting just the cooling fin portion and not tearing through a water channel, so that even if you don't realize and you carelessly put a screw too long through it, you're not going to go to fill your system up and have this, spurting all over your system. It's just going to stay okay. Obviously, you're going to tear up some fins, but even that is not going to harm performance. It's just going to be one of those things you take it apart, you look at it and go, oh, I did that, but not even that. It's not going to be a big deal. It's not. Honestly wouldn't even be worth considering. And speaking of the radiator designs, one thing we looked at was there's a lot of chassis out there that you can put all kinds of cool stuff in, but there's not a lot of room at the top of the motherboard. So what we did was we have everything ranging from, obviously, our super thick radiators all the way down to, if you pick up this little 360 here, we actually have a really thin one for considerations on chassis that maybe don't have as much space. So therefore, you can still have awesome liquid cooling, and we took into consideration that size limitation, so you can see the frame of it's a lot tighter, closer to it, but it still allows you to be able to put screws through it. If it ends up, you can run a screw directly through these holes, end to end, and it's not going to pierce a water channel. You're not going to have any leaks.
These are all custom-built radiators, right? Hand-created radiators?
Yeah, I actually went to, as you know, I traveled to our headquarters and actually went and visited our radiator manufacturer to show people these are made 100% by hand. They're all hand-stacked, hand-laid. They're all brazed together. They're not soldered together. They're not welded together with any intermediate metal. They actually take the individual tube and fins, and they basically melt together because they're at a really high, over 1,000 degrees, and they sit and bake in an oven as they roll through, and they end up as one fused piece of metal, which, as you know, when it comes to thermal transfer,
is much more efficient.
It's awesome. So you end up with a unit that the hex or the core itself can transfer a lot more heat capability.
So essentially, for our enthusiasts out there, if you are interested in getting the maximum performance out of your water cooling system, there is absolutely no reason to not choose a Thermaltake radiator at the very least. But I mean, obviously, they've got entire system ability. You've got your reservoirs here. You've got pumps. You've got water blocks. Please.
Well, okay, for reservoirs, this is a very good one. We have cylinder and we have bay type. Cylinder reservoirs, we have your built off of the highest end one's going to be obviously built off your D5. D5 is like a mainstay for water cooling. Everyone knows it. We're not going to try to reinvent the wheel. So we work with what we know works well. We also have one with a dress-up kit for those that are building something in a window chassis, want something that looks really fancy, comes with a stand and everything, so you're ready to go. If you don't need, to push through 1,000 blocks and a Honda and everything else, you can use like an MCP 355 model, or even a P500, like our standard Thermaltake pump, if you're running just like a CPU-only loop. But if you're looking to push the limit, we've got plenty of options. I mean, the scalability is, once again, as far as your imagination goes, we can support you. You saw the water blocks in those systems over there.
Correct.
We have hard bridges for those so that you run them in parallel. You don't got to worry about tubing between blocks. They just work. Then we have two blocks. We have our own block, and we have one where we co-opt with our friends over at SwiftTech. So that we have a really cool Thermaltake illuminated operator block. Then we have a separate pump, POM top, dress-up kit as well, in case you're running it with one of the reses over there that just have the fittings. And then we even have a hardline tubing demo just to show we're moving the hardline direction along with fittings for it, so that you can see we're supporting not just the liquid cooling for basic, but even those extreme case modders that build the really awesome looking hard tube systems.
Yep.
We want to support them too. But there's a little toy I showed you a little earlier, Jason. I thought this was really neat. This is kind of just our way of showing people that we really like to play with stuff. More importantly, I do. My team does. So basically, we chopped apart, as you can see that pump. I'm sure you recognize Water 3.0 Extreme.
Water 3.0 Extreme.
Yeah, we chopped it off and basically just stuck some fittings on one of our massive 180 mil radiators and figured, probably blow something up and see what happens. And to our surprise, it actually worked really well because, you don't know what to expect when you Frankenstein something like this. But I figured I'd bring this just to show your viewers, because when it comes down to it, this kind of thing I think is really cool because it just shows that people like me who actually sit here and talk about the product actually like to play with it and cut it apart and have fun with it like you guys do.
Exactly. So I mean, and this is something we talked to you guys about earlier, and it's a definite, at least in my opinion, a selling point for Thermaltake is that they're not just product builders. They're not just guys who are sitting around thinking about, how can I build a water cooling system at what price point and how many people are going to buy it. These guys are enthusiasts. They're every bit as much the same as you guys. They're out there playing with this stuff, seeing what it can and can't do. And I mean, this is something like what I would come up with at home. Seriously, I'd Frankenstein up something just like this.
I think that's why I did it, actually. It was just preparing for talking to you.
That's why we like Thermaltake. So stay tuned after the break. We're going to check out yet even more cool Thermaltake products.